Think back to the exact moment you learned to ride a bicycle. The feeling of the pedals under your feet, the wind hitting your face, the sudden, terrifying realization that nobody was holding you up. We often talk about these past experiences as if the brain is a computer hard drive, quietly archiving video files into designated folders for safekeeping. But there is no invisible mental desktop inside your skull. There is no 0 and 1 data storage. The memories you hold are actual physical structures. They are biological objects actively built out of living tissue. To see how a fleeting experience becomes a permanent part of who you are, we have to look closely at the microscopic construction site where learning actually happens. When you recall a memory, you aren't retrieving abstract data. You are exploring a tangible physical landscape that your own experiences have built. The absolute beginning of a memory is a flood of raw, unorganized sensory information. Sights, sounds, and textures enter your brain simultaneously, scattering across different regions of the cortex. To make sense of this chaos, your brain uses a curved, seahorse-shaped structure called the hippocampus. This acts as a temporary staging ground, a biological GPS that links those scattered sensory dots into a single, cohesive event. During this initial phase, the memory is highly fragile. The physical connections between these brain regions have not yet solidified. This is why a sudden physical blow to the head can erase the events immediately leading up to the impact. The trauma disrupts this delicate network before it has a chance to set. The hippocampus can only provide the blueprint. For a memory to survive interference and last a lifetime, your brain has to start physical construction at the cellular level. If we zoom in past the folds of the cortex, down to the microscopic level, we find the brain's building blocks, billions of individual neurons. These neurons don't touch, communicating across a 20 nanometer gap called a synapse. When stimulated, an action potential travels down the neuron, triggering the release of neurotransmitters like glutamate. These float across the gap, slotting perfectly into receptors on the receiving cell. In 1949, Donald Hebb noted, "Neurons that fire together, wire together." When two neurons repeatedly communicate, the receiving cell adapts. It grows thicker, denser receptor structures, becoming highly sensitive to signals from the sending neuron. This is long-term potentiation. This microscopic structural change, this newly fortified biological bridge, is the literal physical embodiment of a memory. Your brain cannot structurally reinforce every single sight, sound, and thought you encounter in a day. It requires a triage system to decide what is worth keeping. That triage system relies heavily on an almond-shaped structure called the amygdala. When you encounter something terrifying or intensely joyful, the amygdala acts as an emotional alarm system, flooding the brain with stress hormones. This hormonal flood supercharges the long-term potentiation process. It instantly cements those synaptic connections, which is exactly why highly emotional or traumatic experiences leave such incredibly vivid impressions. But for the vast majority of everyday memories, there is a second, mandatory requirement to finalize construction: deep, slow-wave sleep. During slow-wave sleep, your brain is actively working. It replays the day's experiences in a continuous loop. This nighttime replay physically transfers the synaptic network from the temporary staging ground of the hippocampus into the permanent storage of the cerebral cortex. If you try to pull an all-nighter before an exam, you halt this structural transfer completely. Without slow-wave sleep, the fragile hippocampal blueprint simply decays, and the information fades away. When you finally retrieve information years later, you are firing electricity through the exact physical network of synapses you built during sleep. And if you don't use that network, the memory decays. Forgetting is an active, useful process where the brain allows unused synaptic connections to physically weaken, clearing space for new patterns. This lifelong ability of the brain to physically change its own structure is called neuroplasticity. Whenever you learn a new fact, practice a physical skill, or navigate a novel environment, you force your neurons to wire together in entirely new configurations. You are not filling a mental container with information. Every single day, through every experience, you are actively sculpting the biological architecture of your own mind.
For more Mechanism Explained, how things actually work, Subscribe